Welcome back to Vet Inspired. Today, we're going to discuss if your pet is overweight. The question that I get a lot of times is, what should my pet weigh? What's the ideal weight? And truthfully, it's hard to give you a definitive answer. The reason for that is because I'm not looking at a number, and it's just like many doctors will tell you in human medicine, don't look at numbers. Well, in veterinary medicine, we're the same way. Don't look at the number on the scale. We're going to use it as a gauge for increasing or decreasing. Yes, we will, but we're looking at the body condition of the pet. So if I have a pet in front of me, I'm going to look to see how they are. I don't need a scale to tell you if your pet needs to lose weight. There are 4 things on your pet that we use to determine is your pet under, over, or ideal with respect to their weight. The first is, well, I'm just going to use my handy dandy puppy for this, is their ribs. The second is their belly, which is right about here. Their third is their spine. And the fourth is their pelvis. Now, if your pet is underweight, and we'll start with that, you'll actually notice their ribs are very defined. So you're actually going to see their ribs. You don't even have to touch your pet to know you can count their ribs without touching them. That's when your pet is really underweight. The other thing you're going to know, you're going to have a distinctive abdominal tuck. And basically what that means is here's the chest, and it's actually going to go up. So this is going to look like a squeeze in, okay? So it's very distinct. The third is you're going to actually see the spine on their back. So they'll be protruding, and it'll actually look like they're popping out. And the fourth thing we're going to look is that their pelvic bones, you'll actually see them protruding through. Those are some signs where your pet is actually underweight. And you and your veterinarian should talk about different ways to help your pet gain weight. The next thing we're going to talk about is when your pet is overweight. So if you think about it, when you're looking at your pet, and I said that you can visibly see their ribs for an underweight pet, an overweight pet, you obviously can't see them. Not only that is you can't see them, but you can't even feel them. And what that means is you have to push deep to actually feel the ribs. You should be able to feel the ribs, not see them, but feel them. But with this, you have to push, and sometimes you can't even do that. On top of this, your pet will have no abdominal tuck. So you'll be able to be like straight across, or sometimes in cats, they'll have that little fat pad. So if you ever look at a cat and underneath their belly, there's a swinging thing of skin, that's actually their fat pad. And it's extra fat in their skin that sits there. So they'll have a very big fat pad. Sometimes on the pelvic region, you'll notice that the dogs or the cats will actually have a layer of fat sitting over them. So they have an extra butt, I call it, and it's just a layer of fat. And then on top of that, you might not even be able to feel the spine. So these are different things that you can look at to see, is your pet overweight? Now that's the extreme of it. And there's, of course, the obese portion and then the overweight portion. So the overweight portion is just going to be a little bit of fat over the ribs that you have to still push in to feel. You can't just rub your hand over the pet to feel the ribs. On top of that, there still will be no abdominal tuck, so your pet will still be straight across, although it might not be a little bit of a dip because they're just a little bit overweight. Typically with overweight pets, not obese pets, you won't have the double butt, as I call it, but it will be harder to palpate the pelvic bones. And then sometimes it will be definitely harder to palpate the spine, but you may be able to still feel it. Now let's talk about ideal. And ideal is what you want your pet to be at. When you look at your pet, you want to be able to run your hands lightly over the chest and feel the ribs. You shouldn't have to push, and you shouldn't be able to see the full definition of the ribs when you step back from your pet. There are certain breeds, however, that you can see a little bit of the ribs and that still be ideal. So when you see a pet where you are seeing a little bit of the ribs, it's not the full definition. These pets are not underweight, but it is part of their breed. On top of that, you want to look at their abdominal tuck. So they will have a nice abdominal tuck where it'll go up just a little bit, not too much, and it's not straight across. So that will be obviously under here where my thumb is. You also want to look at their spine. You should definitely be able to feel their spine. You shouldn't be able to see anything protruding. You might see a little bit of it, but it shouldn't be protruding like it is as a thin pet. And then fourth, you also will be able to feel the pelvic bones. Obviously, you shouldn't see them protruding out, but you should be able to feel them a little bit. And this is when your pet is ideal. Again, we're not looking at the actual number. We're looking at how your pet looks and feels when we do the exam. In the description below, I'm going to actually put a link to the Purina body scoring conditioning charts. Now, I'm in no way affiliated with Purina, but they do have the best body conditioning scoring that I can find and are used throughout multiple practices in the US. So now, if you have determined that your pet is overweight, how can you actually get the weight off of them? Well, the best thing to do is talk to your veterinarian. On top of that, what you can do is, and I'll tell this to every single client, is you want to limit the amount of treats and the amount of human food that you're giving your pet. And I know that while we feel sometimes when we give our pets food, this is the thought of love. But in fact, we can actually be doing damage to them, as we talked about briefly before. So the first thing to do is always eliminate the human food, and then on top of that, start eliminating the treats. If they get 5 a day, it may not seem like a lot, but everything has calories in it, and they don't need that many. So you want to decrease it, maybe 1 every couple days, and try to start with that. That will definitely help either slow the weight gain down or actually take weight off, and it might even just stabilize their weight. On top of that, you want to increase their exercise. So depending on where you live will depend on when the best time to walk them is. And I'm not talking about letting them outside and thinking that they're chasing that squirrel or chasing that ball for 10 minutes and that's enough exercise. It's not. You need to take your dog out for a walk. And I talked about where you live, because if you're in a hot or warm climate, it's extremely important not to walk your dog in the middle of the day. It's very important to walk your dog during the cooler times of the day, so that way they don't overheat and they don't get tired faster. So you would want to walk your dog in the morning or at night when it's cooler out. And you want to take them on a nice long walk for what they can tolerate. So if your pet is obese, taking them on a walk down the driveway may be the only thing that they can tolerate. If your pet is a little bit overweight, taking them on that 20-minute walk is obviously going to be better. And it depends on your pet. And as long as your pet's making progress, that's a good sign. On top of this, we always recommend meal feeding. And what this means is you feed in the morning and in the night. They get 20 minutes to eat, and then everything gets picked up. Now, I understand that some animals don't like to meal feed, and they're grazers. But if we're trying to make your pet lose weight, that's the best way to actually measure their food, see what they're eating in the morning, and then see what they're eating at night. Now, again, all of this should be discussed with your veterinarian who knows your pet well and who knows your pet's health history. But these are definitely good options if your pet is just trying to lose a couple pounds. We want your pet to live a happy, healthy life as long as we can get them to. We want your pet to live a happy, healthy life. So definitely keeping your pet at a lean body weight is going to be important to achieve that. If you have any questions, always ask your veterinarian, and they can absolutely help you with weight loss, weight gain, or how to maintain that perfect ideal weight. If you have any comments or suggestions for people on how you like to get your pet to lose weight, always drop them in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so that way you get a notification when I drop a video.